Why do breakups hurt so bad? Well, believe it or not, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. And I want to talk about the one thing that very few people talk about regarding why breakups hurt as much as they do. We know the basics, we know the common reasons. You're going through a physical detachment, there's a chemical addiction process that our body has to go through, which is physically painful. There's the recalibration in our brains of what our future is going to look like now that we have to go back to the drawing board again. We don't know what our future is going to look like. That's scary as hell. There's the fact that we're going to miss them. We're going to really miss them. There's so many things that are just the common sense reasons for why breakups hurt. Let us not forget the loneliness. That person filled a spot in our lives that is now empty. That hurts. But there's something else. There's something else, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. When you're in a relationship that isn't working for whatever reason, but in this video I want to talk mainly about relationships where the other party is not quite showing up, not quite doing their part, or they're really not doing their part. And we've been hanging on and kind of hoping and praying and waiting for things to improve, and maybe even grasping at straws and doing everything in our power to make things improve. When these kind of relationships end, something happens to us, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And it's one of the most serious causes for the pain we go through in the process of a breakup that nobody talks about. And here it is. The greatest source of pain, or one of them, that we go through when ending a relationship with someone, whether they left us or we left them or whatever it might be, is the fact that for us to have maintained that relationship as long as we did, we had to do something. We had to deceive ourselves. Sometimes it was for months and sometimes it was for years. We had to live in denial about a lot of things. Only you in the situation would know the things you had to lie to yourself about to maintain that relationship, to maintain your sanity while you were with that person. You had to lie to yourself a lot. You had to live in denial perpetually. And that was the coping mechanism that we used to maintain our sanity while we stayed with this person, while we worked on things with this person. Otherwise, we would wrestle with this severe cognitive dissonance, which is very, very painful. And so to avoid that, and so we can go through the motions of life and go to work and take care of the kids and do all the things we do in life, we allow ourselves to believe a lie. We allow ourselves to live in a delusion. Things aren't so bad. No, that wasn't a red flag. They're not actually cheating. I'm thinking, I'm overthinking things. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Nobody's perfect. Blah, blah, blah. We allow ourselves to live in a delusion to maintain our sanity and our happiness. There's so much happiness wrapped up in that lie. We can focus on their positive traits, the things they do for us. They have a lot of qualities we love. The passion we share, the chemistry, the laughs, they're hot, whatever it is. There's stuff about them we freaking love. And we've made so many memories with them. And to protect those memories and to protect our image of them, we've chosen to live in a delusion and to believe lies. Lies about them, lies about how important we actually are to them, lies about what kind of person they are, lies about how much do they respect us and care for us, lies about the relationship as a whole and where it might be going. We've chosen to live in a lie. And here is one of the greatest causes of pain in a breakup. The lie is over. It's over. And so what are you left with then? A mirror that only speaks the truth. You are left with no way out of the denial, no way out of it. The delusion crumbles at your feet. And for the first time since you started the relationship with this person, you have clarity. And clarity isn't always pretty. You have clarity about how much they meant to you, but you have even greater clarity about how much you didn't mean to them. You have clarity about all of those little lies you had to tell yourself. All of those little lies you chose to believe about them, about the relationship. Every single one of them gets replaced by the truth. Just boom, 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 all at once. And as you're no longer living in a lie, the delusion is of the past, you're not in denial anymore, you have some very sobering truths to digest that you don't want to believe, that you don't want to accept, that rip your soul out. Because previous to the breakup, you hummed and hawed about those things. You considered the truth. You allowed that to be a possibility in your mind, but only for a fleeting moment. And then because the reality of what those things would mean if they were true was like not something you were prepared to accept, you just closed the door on that, put it on the shelf. I'll think about that later. Well, the shelf has just come tumbling down at your feet all of a sudden, and all the books are wide open and they're all screaming at you at once. And that is one of the leading causes of pain in a breakup. All of the truths come flying at you at once. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They're all right there for you to look at, staring you in the face. And it's devastating. Because living in the delusion was comfortable. It was livable there. And deceit can feel really good. Why do you think people lie in the first place? They want to find a way out of the reality that they're in. That's what lies do. They paint a different reality for us to live in for a while. And we chose to live in it with that person for a certain period of time. For some of us, it was months. For some of us, it was years. For others, decades. That we lived voluntarily in that delusion with that person. And the second it is over, and I mean over for good, and that delusion, that world we created, that we lived in with them, doesn't exist anymore. And all there is all of these ugly truths for us to look at. Did they really love me? Why didn't they prioritize me? Why didn't they make time for me? Why didn't they make the sacrifices that I made for them? And we have all of these things that when we used to ask ourselves these questions, we would give ourselves the pat answers, and we would, find excuses for them because we didn't want to believe the truth. They didn't because they didn't want to. We don't want to believe those things. But once they're gone, we have no choice. And so now here we are, ruminating because they're gone, so we're all alone. All we have is an abundance of time on our hands to think, to overthink, to process the breakup. And all of the questions that we used to ask ourselves throughout the whole relationship about why are they doing this, why aren't they doing that, all of the questions that we ever asked ourselves during the entire process of that relationship, playing back in our minds. And where we used to have a lie that would respond to that question, we now have a truth. And that truth damn well hurts. Damn well hurts. And there's nowhere to run from it. Because the breakup showed us the reality, the truth. And there's nowhere to go from here other than to run into that pain and accept the truth for what it is. And to put an end to the lie. I mean, if a person wants closure after a breakup, they have to choose to not be in denial anymore. Because what will happen if you go through a breakup and you're still ruminating on the lies and responding to the lies with falsehoods instead of the truth, you're going to obsess on that person. You're going to obsess on the good times. You're going to obsess on wanting them back. You're going to go nuts. You have to be willing when you are going through a breakup to look at the painful truths on all of the subjects and topics and questions that you wondered about in that relationship. You need to be prepared, to be courageous and brave enough to answer those things with the truth. And when you do, it's going to kill you inside. But then there's something on the other side of that pain. There is a saying that goes, the truth will set you free. And it was the lie that held you to that person, or the lies, the chain of delusions that you chose to live in with them. But once you're set free from that, rather they set you free or you set yourself free, and you chose to look at all of the mistruths, and you chose to just take the veil off and look at what was there, You get the opportunity now to rebuild your life and to walk in truth. First with yourself, and then possibly one day with someone else that wants to walk in truth too. Someone that is prepared and able to give you what you need to have a healthy relationship. And that's a beautiful opportunity you're creating for yourself. That can't be, taken for granted. If you are set free now from a relationship that wasn't serving you, you are in a very beautiful spot of opportunity in your life. And you need to make room for what is good and what is headed your way. And definitely take accountability for the ways of which you went wrong in that relationship. Do everything you can to become a better person, grow and mature from that, learn from it. And get ready. Get ready for your next chapter and make it a good one.